Let's go down to number 10. So number 10 is a little bit different. Instead of finding our average rate of change, we are going to use the average rate of change to figure out what one of our values are. In this case, what f of 1 is equal to. So looking at A, they tell us that the average rate of change is equal to 12. So if I went through this whole formula, and I should mention, our interval is from 1 to 5. So A would be 1, and B would be 5. My formula would look like this: f of 5 minus f of 1 all over 5 minus 1. And then we would go through and try to figure out what our average rate of change is. But in this problem, they're telling us that we know it will equal 12. And similar to our very first, well, not our first example, our second example where they kind of gave us these values, we know some of the values already. So let's go ahead and change this. Well, I do know what my f of 5 is equal to, because if I look here, if I plugged in, let me change this color to like this orange looking color. If I plugged in 5 into my function, and that doesn't look very orange, but it would give me 24. So let's replace this with what I know. F of 5 is also equal to, or does equal, 24. Now I don't know f of 1, right? Because if I plugged in 1, it kind of gives me this question mark, or I'm unsure. I'm going to leave it as f of 1. And 5 minus 1, I know is 4. Okay, so at this point, it's as if this f of 1 was like a x or a y that I was trying to solve for. I'll leave it as f of 1, and then we'll just go ahead and solve for it. Now, to get rid of the denominator, which would be my first step, I would be multiplying both sides by 4, right? And some of you like to think about it as 4 over 1. And if I do that over here, I have to do it on the right side too. These 4's would cancel each other out, and then I would get down to 24 minus f of 1 is equal to 48. Next thing I have to do is get my f of 1 by itself still. So I want to subtract 24 on each side. When I subtract 24 on each side, I will get a negative f of 1 equal to 24. And then you can choose whether to divide by negative 1 or multiply by negative 1. But when you do this, you get f of 1 is equal to negative 24. Okay? All right, now let's check out number 11. That's the next average rate of change type of problem we've got. In this case, it might not be super clear, but our blue line for that graph, they are curving up. It's not going to be a straight line, so I don't have a constant average rate of change. Let's see what our interval is interested in. Okay, so compare the average increase in the number of views per hour for both videos over the first 12 hours. So this one doesn't specifically tell you the interval, and kind of like if I'm looking up here, they tell us the interval is 2 to 7. However, if they're telling us the first 12 hours, then my interval must be from 0 to 12. All right, now I'm looking for, if you want to use, I guess both of them use f of 12 minus f of 0 all over 12 minus 0. All right, now I'll write that over here. F of 12 minus f of 0 all over 12 minus 0. The denominator is nice because anything, if you subtract 0 from 12, you're going to get 12 still. But let's figure out what f of 12 and f of 0 will be. It's kind of like our third example from the third part of number 1, I should say, or I guess it was number 9. This time I'm going to have to look at 0 and 12. Let's start with f of 12. I'm going to look right here, and I'm going to go up, figure out where I'm hitting that graph. Hits right at 10,000. So when I rewrite this, I'm going to get 10,000. And I need to subtract whatever f of 0 is. And don't automatically put 0, because it actually says f of 0 is 4,000. So let me subtract 4,000 from this number. And we'll put the 12 on the bottom by itself. So 10,000 minus 4,000 will be 6,000. Divided by 12. Let's see, that might be 6,000. Let's figure this out. Divided by 12 equals 500. All right, so what this tells us, this average rate of change in the first 12 hours, the average rate of change for video 1 was 500. All right, let's figure out what it was for video 2. Okay, same logic. Maybe I'll pick a different color. F of 12 minus f of 0 all over 12 minus 0. All right, f of 12 here is, let's move this a bit over. Looks like 9,000. And I'm going to subtract 5,000 all over 12. I've got 9,000 minus 5,000, which is 4,000 all over 12. And I don't think that one goes into it evenly. It does not. We get about 333. So that's my average rate of change for video 2. Now that I have this, I can kind of look and compare. So what kind of options do they give us? Over the first 12 hours, average increase in the number of views per hour on video 2 is greater than the average increase in the number by about 250. Okay, so all of these, they are looking for which video has more and by how many. So this one's 250, 1,000, 167, 83. So they're saying one of these is more and by how many. Now I can see that video 1 has the bigger value. So it's going to be more than this 333. And if I want to figure that exactly, maybe I'll do that below. 500 minus 333. And I will get 167, which corresponds to this one. And let's double check. Even though I got the right number that I'm looking for, let me make sure that it's saying that video 1 is 167 views more on average. So over the first 12 hours, the average increase in the number of views of video 1 is greater than, which is good, the average views for video 2 by 167. So that matches up. So this is what we want. All right, and I